period where the world isn't paying for that type of stuff. Nobody has the money to improve their house. In fact, there's so many people that are out there that have just lost a house because of a foreclosure or whatever, like bad construction deals were happening. How many of you have seen the movie War Dogs? Anybody? It's where they sell weapons to the U.S. military. In that movie, they talk about picking up the crumbs. And the crumbs is where we made our living. And it was awesome. I would literally just wait for these little phone calls to come through from, a guy who needed the RV pad inside of his house. It was $300, $400, $500. And we'd go bang it out in 2 hours. And we started taking those types of projects and learning how to manage, cash flow versus equipment versus expenses. I hired my first employee who was also this guy right here, Diesel Dave. And we went out and we just were, scaling a little bit. But it got to the point where I thought, all right, I'm confident, I feel good. I can really make some money at this. I want to take this to the next level. So we did. We took on a huge project. For us, it was a huge project. Looking back, it wasn't a huge project. It was basically, there was a foundation for a house about the size of this room. And it was a house that they poured the foundation and then they lost their permit and they couldn't finish it, so they had to destroy and tear out the foundation. Now, foundation wall is 8 inches thick of concrete and it's poured, I think in this case it was probably 8 feet tall. And we didn't have the equipment to take that. We didn't, I had this tiny little mini tractor that was good for digging little ponds and stuff. And so we rented a huge piece of equipment, took it down to the job, and we were just banging through this job, killing it. And we were gonna make $2,000 that day, which was huge. That was the most money we had ever made up until that point in our business. And I got a little reckless with the equipment. We rented this big machine. It was probably an $80,000 machine. And I started using it the wrong way because I had just kind of got confident the way I was operating. Rather than tearing the concrete out this way, I started using the arm and swinging it this way. Now, if you're familiar with construction equipment, when you stress an arm out that far and you start hitting into a rock wall or concrete wall, at some point, something's got to give. It's either going to be the wall or it's going to be the arm on the tractor. And unfortunately, after a couple hours, the arm on the tractor just bent like that. And I'm talking, that's probably a $50,000 repair. I didn't have $50,000. I didn't have any of that money. So took the machine back to the rental place and we didn't buy the insurance. We didn't have insurance. And I said, here's the machine. I don't know what to do. And they took everything I had. They literally took every freaking penny that I had. All my equipment, anything that I had. And they were nice enough because they didn't get made whole on it. They probably only got $10,000 out of me total, where it cost them 40 or 50. But what that did is it put me back to square one. I had to start over. And I prepared myself for this moment. I thought, like I told you, worst case scenario is never that bad. And it really wasn't. The fact of the matter is, going into it, the suspense of the unknown sucked. But when I got there and realized that I was at rock bottom, it wasn't that bad. So that was a huge relief to me. I thought, okay, I can do that again if I had to. I don't want to, but if I wind up here again, I know where to go. And so the next venture we took on was, buying trucks from the auction, pieces of crap. We bought the stuff that nobody else wanted. We bought the stuff, in fact, I remember very clearly bidding on a truck at the auction that nobody else was bidding on. And when I won it, I looked over and there's this old salty car dealer next to me, just an old dude that I've seen at the auction for years. He starts laughing, to himself, not at me, or not with me, at me, by himself. And I'm like, that's not good. What did I just do? Because I didn't know. But I kind of had this motto moving forward in my dealership business that there's a buck for every seat. What I mean by that is I didn't want to be the guy that was buying and selling Honda Accords, the Toyota minivans, the stuff that sells really well, that all the car dealers have and all the car dealers want to get because it's easy to sell. I didn't want to be that guy because I didn't want to compete with them because I didn't know how. I didn't know anything about marketing a car dealership. I didn't know anything about the finance business. I wanted to buy the weird stuff that was slipping through the cracks. Again, picking up the crumbs and turn that into what my business model was. And I can save you a ton of time by just fast forwarding today. That's what we've done for the last 8 years. Just been picking up the crumbs, and then the crumbs got bigger and bigger, and then we started turning those into custom projects. And now we have a massive business that does, I think my business is combined $30, $40 million a year.
And you own an island.
I own an island, yeah.
Did you know that? Straight west of us. Is it Fremont Island?
Yeah, anybody ever heard of Fremont Island?
So I got to tell this story. So I've advised Dave before he was famous. We were neighbors, and he's like, "Oh, you're a professor. You must be smart." He didn't. realize that they two don't always go
He
together.
hit on me at the gym.
Yeah,
it was like
we were in the same locker room.
Deliberate. Looking back now, I know what he was doing.
Right.
It was 6 months of slowly easing into like building trust, and the next thing you know, he works for me. So
it was a funny relationship, but we were friends before he was famous, is what I like to say. At least before I knew who he was. I just knew him as Dave, the guy with the beard at the gym. So we would talk periodically, and their business would grow. And Dave's pretty famous now, and has a huge business, and so we don't talk very often.